Welcome back again. Yours truly, Anthony Parker Alexander. Phones off, please. Putting everything on mute. And welcome to Keep It Real with yours truly, Anthony Parker Alexander. We thank you for being on the show. This is our first YouTube show and channel for Keep It Real. And on this program, what we try to do, just like the slogan says, we try to keep it real. We keep it simple, we keep it honest, and we try to keep it real. So, what we do on this show is we try to tell all sides of a story. We try to give you the left side, we try to give you the right side, and at the end, hopefully, you would have decided and have looked at the real parts of the story and said, no matter what, whether I like it or not, Anthony has kept it real. So, let me tell you a little bit about me as people hopefully try to tune in. Backgrounds in journalism, radio, TV, and print. Been doing it for a lot of years. Done a little bit of investigative stories in the community, some fun stories, and some stories that make you go, I never thought about that. I love background as far as journalism. I love social media. I know social media has been taking kind of a hit over the past couple of years. Right now, anybody can be a blogger, a social media person. To me, you still have to have facts. The internet has just opened up a Pandora's box of anything out there. So you have to really think about what you read, what you see, and what you hear, because some of it may not be true, especially in this political age. The people that people hate the most or dislike are journalists, politicians, and sometimes pastors, because how many of them are telling the truth? I know I may take a hit on the pastor thing, but we'll talk about that. I am one where I'm going to invite you to come on the show, tell your story. And I believe people can see whoever you are, because hopefully in the long run, whoever you are will come to light, as they say, the darkness will come to light. And if you know me, I'm a very spiritual person. So on this first episode of Keep It, we're going to say a prayer. Dear God, we thank you for people tuning in and people listening to this word. We pray, God, at the end of the show that you will learn something. Thank you again. God bless. Amen. For all the people that believe, for the ones that don't, well, you know what? You don't believe. But let's keep it real and start this show. So the reason I wanted to start this show is because I was watching YouTube and challenges happened to pop up, and the person was AK-47. That's part of his name, but he was talking about these missing children and about 27 missing children in Cleveland, Ohio. He was very frustrated about what he was talking about, and I thought that was interesting because he was so frustrated. He was very passionate. And so I saw that story, and I never heard of that story before. And me, with my background being in journalism, I listened to what he was saying. And he pretty much was saying, and I'm going to go into the story, that there were about 27 kids missing in a 2-week span. And it seems the local media didn't even touch upon that. He got it from the national media. And as the story kept going on throughout the show, and he was talking, I started following up on my own and reading on my own about this story. And it's an incredible story. So it made me think, as far as a journalist, if this is true that the local media didn't cover this until the national media did, then, I'm starting to sway as far as media, especially local media. I looked at this as a big story. Right here. These pages are numbered. Okay. About 27 kids were and are missing in a 2-week span. And it made you think, no Amber Alert, no big event, no whatever TV station talking about this. I have not seen it. Maybe I've missed it. I'm going to invite people on this show who are dealing with this. But first, I got to put it out there. And then me and you guys will follow up on this. I got 27 pages right here. So Think about this. In any city, or even across the world, if 27 kids have been missing in a 2 week span, wouldn't you think that'd be national news? Wouldn't you really think, hey, you know what? People should know about this. I mean, let's keep it real, let's keep it honest, and let's keep it simple. One kid missing. Let's think about this. One kid missing. Yeah, it might not make a story in a day. Two kids missing. Two kids missing in a 2 week span in the same city. Well, you might say, okay, that still may not make a lot of news. Two kids missing. Wow. Let's just keep it real. Make sure I got this right. Three kids missing. Three kids missing in a 2 week span. Wow. That's slowly making it up. You'd think there would be an Amber Alert for three kids who are missing. Think about it. Think if it was your kid. Wow, what would you do? Or if you saw this on TV, three kids missing in a 2 week span. That might make some kind of news. Let's go to four. Four kids missing in a 3 week span. That's a lot of kids too. Slowly. Especially if it's in a small neighborhood. Would you start thinking about that? 5 weeks, 5 kids missing, in a 2 week span. Now it's starting to get noticeable. 5 kids missing in a 2 week span. 6 kids missing in a 2 week span in a city. Let's say a city that you're in, maybe a small city, maybe a large city, but 6 kids missing in a 2 week span. And it keeps going on and on. 7 kids missing in a 2 week span. Have you seen any Amber Alert of anything, any station? Have you driven in your car and heard that? Have you heard that noise where you know it's a kid, somebody missing? That's 6 kids. Now 7 kids in a 2 week span. 8 kids now in a 2 week span. No Amber, no breaking news, nothing. Have you, especially if you live in Cleveland, Ohio, have you heard on your Amber Alert or even driven on the highway and saw a billboard? These kids are missing. Do you know anybody who knows anybody about this? These kids are missing. 8 kids missing in a 2 week span. 9 kids missing in a 2 week span. Now, would this make national news? And if it has made national news, why hasn't it made your city? Why hasn't your city let you know that there have been 9 kids missing in a 2 week span? And you know what? Let's just not go for 9. Here we go. 10 kids missing in a 2 week span. And you haven't heard anything about this. So this is going up to about 27 kids. And the question right there, where do you think some of these kids are at? Read that. Where do you think some of those kids are at? We're at number 10. 10 kids missing in a 2 week span. I mean, we can go on and on and on. And that's what we're going to do. 11 kids missing in a 2 week span in a city. Has it made MSNBC, Fox News? Has it made your local stations? Or why hasn't it made your local stations? It all depends on where the community is as far as these missing kids are concerned too. So this is yours truly, Anthony Parker Alexander, and you're watching Keeping It Real with yours truly. If you have any questions or comments, you can email yours truly. We're going to set this down for a second. 11 kids right now in the 2 week span. Email address is parkerman 2011 at gmail.com, parkerman2011 at gmail.com. And you can also text me right here, 216-702-3718, 216-702-3718. We're talking about the missing kids in Cleveland, Ohio. Here's a picture. Nice picture of Cleveland, Ohio, a big town. And we're going to give you the demographics about it in a minute, give you the background about it in a minute. But on the show, we're going to talk about the Board of Cleveland Missing. This is have a tie-in with everything that's been happening. We're going to tell you how to file a missing persons report and what to do after the report is filed. And we're going to tell you some good things about Cleveland, because Cleveland has taken a hit over the years. I mean, we've had the Cavs, and we have the Indians, and we have the Browns talking about taking a hit. But we're going to talk about some of the things that are happening in Cleveland, Ohio. So the reason I'm doing this show again, I thought it was interesting. 27 kids missing in a 2-week span in Cleveland, Ohio, and it has not really made big local news like it should. Made national news, and supposedly after it made the national news, then people started talking about it locally. And this is our first YouTube channel, Keeping It Real. So we hope you watch the show. And you know what? Hit the share and like button. And also try to pass this show around to some of your friends, especially in the area of Cleveland, Ohio, as we try to get people to know more about the story, and across the country. Anybody you know that has missing kids, this is something that they should see. Or anybody that wants to volunteer and help find missing kids, this is a show that people should see. Give you a backstory too with the 3 girls that were missing years ago that were found in Cleveland, Ohio. When I was in Cleveland, I would help this activist. His name is Art McCoy, and he was over black on black crime. Very great man. He was very infamous. Some people liked him, some people didn't. But one thing that he did do was he did help people in the community. He helped a lot of parents looking for their kids. And the interesting thing is, I would go with him and help march with him and go looking for these missing kids. And on a personal level, yours truly knew somebody who had a kid that was missing. And it was very traumatic for yours truly, because we had to go to a park about 2 a.m. to find out if that person was in that park. And that wasn't just to see if they were there chilling or sleeping, but unfortunately was to see if we'd find a body. And thank goodness we didn't find a body. We eventually found her, which was good. And I have kids myself, so how would it feel if you were one of those parents that had at least 27 kids missing and you still don't know where they're at? And why isn't the word put out there good enough? And again, that's what we're talking about. So we're about to give you the backstory. Again, we are going to keep it simple, keep it honest, and we're going to keep it real. So you're going to see me doing some papers and reading some things, but I'm putting the story out here because right now, this is a story that to me, everybody should talk about. But let me give you the background of this story. 27 kids missing. Now, the city of Cleveland has seen an extraordinary increase in the number of missing kids. So here's a backstory. Newburgh Heights Police Chief John LaJoy recently spoke to a lot of media, saying that nearly 30 children under the age of 18 have been reported missing between May 2nd and May 16th. Not even a month ago. Nearly 30 children missing. Now, throughout the current year to mid-May, there are 56 active missing children cases in Cleveland. That's a lot even than that. There was reported that there's always peaks and valleys with missing persons. But this year, it seems like an extraordinary year, is what LaJoy said. Now, another thing that's interesting, he serves as board president for the organization Cleveland Missing. So as I've been doing this research and everything, so he's a Newburgh Heights police chief. And as I kept hearing the story, I kept wondering, well, if this has happened in Cleveland, then why haven't the people in Cleveland talked about this? Which is very interesting. But here it is, a Newburgh Heights police chief. And I kept wondering, well, why is a Newburgh Heights police chief talking about this? Well, because he's a board member of this organization called Cleveland Missing. So now, for some reason, he says, in 2022, we've seen a lot more than we normally see, which is troubling in part because we don't know what's going on with some of these kids, whether they're being trafficked or whether they're involved in gang activity or drugs. And like I said, underneath there, 27 kids, that's a lot of kids. Where could they be? Are they really runaways? Are they involved with drug trafficking? Are they just not coming home and doing their own thing? So this is 11. Now 11 kids reported missing in 2 weeks. As I continue with the story, we're going to show you the impact. 12 kids missing in a 2-week span. Nobody knows where they're at, especially like the chief said. 13 kids. Amber Alert, local news, national news. You're just hearing about it now, but when it gets to 27. This is 13. We still got 14 more to go. So now let's go back to the story. Now, the comments by this Newburgh Heights chief, they came shortly after, and let me know if you know about this, the 40th annual National Missing Children's Day, which was on May 25th. So the 40th annual National Missing Children's Day, which was on May 25th. So if you haven't heard about that day, and if you have, maybe you forgot. Now this day was created by former President Ronald Reagan in 1979, and it serves as a reminder of missing children everywhere and honor those dedicated to finding them. National Children's Missing Day, and it was honoring people trying to find them. 14 kids missing, 2 weeks back. Remember that. You are watching. Keep it real. With yours truly, Anthony Parker. So, Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost, he published a report detailing new data around the number of missing children in the state in 2022. So try to find that report. Yours truly will too. According to the report, there were 15,555 reports of missing children in the state last year. 15,000 children missing in the state of Ohio. The authorities reported that 96%, a total of 14,940 children, were recovered safely by year's end. So 96% of those children were found, which is good. They revealed that 4 children reported missing were found deceased, but 15,000 were reported missing, and 14,000 were found, which was good. Meanwhile, the FBI stated that on National Missing Children's Day, the agency reaffirmed its commitment to searching and finding children who have been reported missing, such as this one. Number 15. Again, number 15. Keep your eye on this story. 15 children missing in a 2-week span, and it's almost double that now. So, a retired FBI agent, Jennifer Coffindaffer, she told Newsweek that it's unusual to have that many missing children during a short period of time in a specific area. Yes, it is. However, I've seen nothing that connects them. Now, she says there's no connection with the 27 children. Usually in these cases, there's a mixed bag of everything from people who run away, people who committed suicide, people who were trafficked, and even people who were murdered. So what do we do with that? So she explained that social media plays a key part in helping to spread awareness about the missing children and also helping their recovery. Social media is a key in many instances in finding these individuals. It also helps heat up law enforcement because it starts going out there, and it also pushes mainstream media to let people know that there are so many people missing. It's so important to get their names and faces out so that people in the area are alerted and can help. Do we have any pictures of any of these kids missing? That's what I'm wondering. Because yours truly is going to continue to do a couple of shows on this. We're going to have some of the people from the organization on Cleveland Missing to talk about this and maybe have some of the families on to talk about their stories and maybe put more of an impact into this. A few years back, yours truly did a documentary where we had a lot of parents who had missing kids and murdered on the show to tell their story. And we've had a lot of missing children out here. A lot of people become advocates because their kids have been missing. What would you do? 16. If you had a missing child. If you do have a missing child, get in contact with me, 216-702-3718, 216-702-3718. And you are watching Keeping It Real with yours truly, Anthony Parker Alexander. We'd also like to thank our sponsors for helping us with this show and supporting it. And I was trying to pick up my paper, but I guess I won't. I'll just leave it there. So, missing children, some people say, is a slave crime. And I mean, there's different connotations of what missing children are. And to me, missing children are children that just aren't here. The problem is, where are they? Where do they go? They can be in a drug house or, like I said right here, in prostitution or caught up in drug trafficking or gangs. And like I said, I got this show. I'm doing the show because I was watching a YouTube channel and AK-47. Hopefully I've got most of his information right. If not, go on Facebook and YouTube and look him up. And he's a guy that's very passionate about, well, this story. And that's how I learned about it, because he kept saying, well, where's everybody at? Where are all these kids at? And that's my question too. Where are all these kids at? And that's why I'm doing this show, this live show on YouTube. And I just want to get answers to, because there are some form of fashion people that know a little bit about the story more than I do. So I'm going to go back again to the story. I'm going to reiterate some parts of it. Almost 30 kids aged 12 to 17 were reported missing in a 2-week span. And again, the Newburgh Heights police chief said, there's always peaks and valleys with missing persons, but this year, it seems like an extraordinary year. For some reason in 2023, he says, we've seen a lot more than we normally do. He says most of these cases, or he thinks that most of these cases, are runaways instead of abductions. But he noted teenagers are naive and susceptible to predators. And as we've seen with social media and mental health issues and maybe how they're being raised, some kids really, just some, they don't believe in themselves. Some have been hassled through online social media and in person, and some just don't believe in them. And all you have to do is talk to somebody and make them believe that you're there for them. And sometimes those are predators. And usually these kids, they don't make the news unless there's an Amber Alert. So why hasn't there been an Amber Alert? It's a silent crime that happens right under our noses. This is what the Newburgh Heights police chief said. The problem is, where are they and where did they go? And that's what we're trying to find out. Where are they and where did they go? And he feels that the missing kids end up feeding into Cleveland's largest crime problem. Sometimes the minors join gangs in protection, which leads to initiation crimes like carjacking and also robberies. They often sell their bodies or they use drugs and become addicts. And is it getting worse? That's what I'm wondering. Um, I have a couple kids, and I know people that have kids. And the one guy, AK-47, he was very passionate because he knows people that have kids, and he said one of his friends or in his circle, their kid is missing. So of course it was very personal. And you have to see that video because once you see that video, you'll see another side of people trying to wake people up. He has his side, I have my side. Hopefully we can come together and do a show. So what happens when these kids are missing? So in May, United States Marshals, they launched this Operation We Will Find You to recover the missing children. Agents combed throughout cases in Cleveland, Toledo, Akron, and other surrounding counties to find the minors, with some of the kids located as far as Colorado, Arizona, and West Virginia. So were these some of the kids that were missing? That's what we're going to find out. The epidemic of missing children in our country needs a spotlight. It needs our faces. We have operations like this that sharpen that focus. And this is from United States Marshal Pete Elliott. Every child deserves a safe environment to grow up in, and we are dedicated to helping provide that for the children and families in Northern Ohio. More than 15,000 children were reported missing in Ohio last year, and 4 of them, like I said, were found dead. In more than 8,500 of the cases, abduction played a role. Let's just keep it simple. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it real. I hope you're watching this show. I hope you're getting something out of this program. I'm Anthony Parker Alexander, and we're talking about missing children. So now, like I said, here's a picture of Cleveland, Ohio. Nice looking city. Look at this city. There are over 20-something kids missing. And they're missing in a 2-week span. Right now, it's 17. We have 17 kids missing in a 2-week span. That's saying a lot. Is this the story that would be reported nationally? No, it would not. 18 kids missing in a 2-week span. Did you see anything? CNN, Fox, MSNBC, even your local news where you live at? About 18 kids missing in a 2-week span? No. Well, maybe you might see it when it gets to 19. Think about it. Have you seen 19 kids, read about it, missing in a 2-week span? Where are these kids at? So you're saying if it's 19 and I didn't hear about it, maybe when it gets to 20, I will. Guess again. I've only seen 2 YouTube shows that have talked about these missing kids. One is AK-47, and one is yours truly, Anthony Parker, of Keeping It Real. Again, we're keeping it real. And we're operating the studio all by ourselves too, just to let you know. Read down there again. Let me know. Contact me, 216-702-3718, 216-702-3718, and let me know if you heard this story before. So now I'm going to read you about the census. You wondered for people, what's the makeup of Cleveland, Ohio? So as of the 2020 census, there were 372,624 people and over 170,000 households residing in the city of Cleveland. So 372 people in Cleveland. The median income for a household in the city was $30,000, almost $31,000. Of the city's population over the age of 25, 17% hold a bachelor's degree or higher, and 80% had a high school diploma or equivalent. And Excuse me on that word. So according to the 2020 census, let's go back 10 years. Almost 30% of Cleveland households had children under the age of 18 living with them. 22% were married couples living together. 25% had a female householder with no husband present. 6% had a male household with no wife present. And that was yours truly. We'll talk about that story another time. And 46% were non-families. 10% had someone living alone who was 65 years or older. And the average household size was 2.29. And the average family income, or the average family size, was 3%. So we gave you some statistics. Some are pretty low. Now let's talk about the ethnic and racial division. According to the 2020 census, the racial composition of the city was as follows. So listen to this. 32% non-Hispanic white, 47% African Americans, 2.8% Asian and Pacific Islander, 0.9% Native American, 3.8% from two or more races, Hispanic or Latino, 13.1% was that population. And so there is no ethnic or racial majority in Cleveland. A 2020 analyst found the city to be the most ethnically and racially diverse in Ohio. So how many people live in Cleveland? And you think it's divided? Blacks and whites. Most blacks tend to live on the east side. Most whites tend to live on the west side. And some are divided by a bridge. So, and you wonder, which is hopefully going to be in a later story in this city. And this bridge, this could be the east side, that could be the west side. Okay? What part of the area were these kids missing from? Was it the east side? Was it the west side? Was it the suburbs? I don't know yet. We're going to have hopefully somebody from Cleveland Missing to come on and talk about that. And I'll let you know, okay, well, this is the story. This is what we're talking about. So you see all of my papers there, and this is how I do my show. Again, this is a live show, our very first one on YouTube. Hit like and subscribe. And for people who are seeing this in replay, you can still hit like and subscribe, and also text me again, 216-702-3718, 216-702-3718. And what we try to do is give both sides of the story. We try to look at things. We give our opinions, but we give them with facts. We hope that you may not like the way that we do this story, but since we're giving both sides, hopefully you'll like the truth, because we try to keep it simple and keep it real. And I say, with my background in journalism, I am so kind of disgusted with how the turn of events with this story has been panning out. I have to learn from a YouTuber guy who isn't a journalist, but was passionate about a story about these kids missing in the city of Cleveland. 21. Has there been an Amber Alert? No. No Amber Alert. Nothing. Nobody talking about it in the neighborhood. 21 kids. Nobody talking about it anywhere. Now, are these people, the kids that are missing, are they ones that matter? You know, it's the weird, I've heard stories about, and in some cities, about how people go in these low-income areas and maybe go after people who won't be missed and use them as experiments. I don't know. I can't say that this is true, but I know about the Tuskegee experiment. And when people were anti-COVID, and I would tell people, well, you have to understand why African Americans are sometimes anti-medicine. Check out the Tuskegee experiment. And I'll just give you a little bit. It was an experiment where the government experimented on African Americans for decades and followed them and used them as study guides, study tests, human experimentation. I'm trying to put this in the right words, but look it up, the Tuskegee experiment. And whether you believe that or not, that's what happened. So some people, even with the missing children, missing people, they still feel that the government is experimenting with people. I can't say that, but it's what some people believe. And I only kind of deal with facts and figures, and that's what we're talking about here with facts and figures. Again, 22 count missing children in Cleveland in less than 2 weeks. Nobody has talked about it. I hadn't even heard about it. So now let's go back to our story. And what we're going to talk about too, as I got my notes, and if you can see it, you can see a lot of notes. We're going to talk about the Board of Cleveland Missing, and what they do, how to file a missing persons report, what to do after the report is filed. We gave you the Cleveland demographics. And we may talk about some good things about Cleveland. There are some good things about Cleveland. All right. So let me continue with this story as I continue to tell you and update this, because sometimes, you can't push this enough. Almost 30 kids missing. And we talked about Newburgh Heights Police Chief John LaJoy. And he talked about the missing kids, which took place from May 2nd through May 16th. Again, he noted that a majority of the cases are runaways. That's how he feels. But he feared some of the teenagers could have been victims of predators who he likened to wolves in sheep's clothing. The rise in disappearances are especially troubling, he says, because many times there's a lack of photos of the victims and the fact that many of the cases go largely unnoticed by the public, he said. So you got all these kids. And why are so many of them going unnoticed? 23 right here. Do we have any pictures of any of these kids? Because if they're missing, it would be great if we could have pictures of these kids, so we could let people know where they're at or know what they look like. And then we can look for them. How can you look for almost 30 kids and you have no pictures of these kids? And why is that? And no Amber Alerts of these kids. Very frustrating. And I don't have any missing kids. Thank God. So this Newburgh Heights police chief, he says he has never seen anything like this in his over 33-year career. Again, the problem is, where are they? Where do they go? They can be a drug house or farmed to prostitution, as I've said before. We also talked about throughout the show, Operation We Will Find You, and they're out there looking for kids. So here's a person that I've known over the years, and I just happen to read her name. Her name is Sylvia Colin. Now, she found the Cleveland missing after her teenage cousin was abducted in 2004. She urged families to take these cases seriously and to work through the trauma of disappearance to save runaways and kidnapped children. So she's one that had a child abducted. And so she's working to help find missing kids. She's a great advocate too. Every family's experience is different, but there are some things that are the same for everybody, she said. It's first disbelief, then blame, then what did we do wrong? Did we do anything? Did we do something? Oh my gosh, how are we going to find this person? So as the days progress, it becomes a case that's not solved after a couple months, 2 years to 3 years. Life happens too, she said. Then you have this guilt of continuing to press forward and live your life while continuing your search. And man, you think about the pain that you have to go through for that. How do you go through that if your kid is missing a day? And then another day, and then another day, and then a week, and then a month, and then years. How do you go through that? How do you live through that? When the three women were missing, and I was out there too with Black on Black Crime, and did my documentary about kids missing and killed. I saw the pain on some of those people, and how do you go day by day? So the interesting thing is when the three girls were found in Cleveland, and the father spoke, and he said, I always knew that she was alive. Wow, how do you feel that? I mean, there these days there are a lot of kids being found who were missing. Some have been kidnapped, some 10 years, some 5 years. There are some that when they're missing, it's not really the media that finds them. It's maybe a stray person. It may be somebody who, maybe they're able to escape and they run up on somebody and that person gets them to the police and lets people know that these missing people are found. How much does the media have with that? I don't know. But when there's almost 27 kids missing, media should do more. So shame on you, media, for not doing more things. Going back to the story. The chief said they're kind of like wolves in sheep clothing. And again, there were a total of 56 active missing children cases in Cleveland as of mid-May. Most of them don't make the news, as I've said. The problem is, where are they? Over 15,000 were missing last year. 90% of those were found, which was good. 90% of those were found. So there is some happiness at the end of the tunnel for some of these. So all I can say is have hope. And, let's try to do what we're supposed to do as media. Let's do better. Let's not let the national news beat us locally. It's like athletes. Sometimes we can't get interviews with national athletes. And I know for a fact that when LeBron James was here, from me talking to people locally, sports people, LeBron would never do a local interview, but would always do a national interview. And why not do a local interview if you're in your hometown? Why does it take a CNN, a Fox, and MSNBC to do a national story about these missing kids, and then the local station say, oh, geez, man, maybe we should do a show about this now, a follow-up about this now. Yeah, well, shame on you guys, as I've said. So we're going to talk about, as I go through my papers, how to file a missing persons report. But first, let me tell you, 24 missing kids. Look at that number. 24 missing kids. We don't know where they're at. Do we? No, we don't. They are missing. So, as this case keeps building, I was looking for information on what to do as far as filing a missing person report. God forbid your kid is missing, but if you know somebody is going through something, here's what you do. Ohio Missing Persons Checklist and Procedures. You contact your local law enforcement agency to file a missing persons report. If you'd like a copy of this, you can contact me 216-702-3718, 216-702-3718, or you can email me as Parkerman, Parkerman, at gmail.com, Parkerman at gmail.com. At the time you file a report, law enforcement may ask you to supply the following information: missing person's full name, date of birth, and social security number, details on where they were last seen or heard from, details on any vehicles located, details on any persons who may be with them, details on what the person was wearing and any unique characteristics, and a current photograph. 27 kids missing. Do we have photographs for these? Be sure to clearly state the reasons why you believe the individual left, not on their own terms. Record the name, phone number, and badge number of the officer who takes the report so that you can follow up with additional information. Request a copy of the missing persons report. Confirm with the enforcement that the case involvement has been entered into the National Crime Database. This allows all federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies to assess information on the case. This is interesting. Ohio law requires that this information be posted immediately for missing adults ages 18 to 21. For people older than 21, the information must be posted in 7 days should foul play be suspected. If foul play is not suspected, the law enforcement agency has up to 30 days to enter the information. Should you be related to the missing person, it could be necessary for you to alert a family member of the missing individual so that they can file a report with law enforcement. Some law enforcement agencies have policies in place that require the missing person report to be filed by a family member. So check up on that. And as we go on, take steps to help investigators after the report is filed. So the report has been filed. What's next? 27 children missing. Have the people who have these missing children filed a follow-up? 25 right here. 25 missing children. Don't worry, there's a couple more to go. Take steps to help investigators after the report is filed. Maintain a dialogue with the investigators and law enforcement. Share with them any information you know. Ask law enforcement before disturbing items in the missing person's residence. So don't mess up anything. Make a video of the interior of their room. Talk with the missing person's friends, co-workers, school, neighbors. Ask them to let you know if they hear from the missing person. Retain personal items that were worn frequently or that only the missing person would have used. These items should be placed in a paper bag and stored in a secure location. Talk with law enforcement about preservation of the DNA. Make a list of places a missing person often went to that frequented. Provide law enforcement with information regarding the bank the missing person uses, with their dentist, that's interesting, and who is the home interior service provider, where they live at. Retain the missing person's cell phone and landline phone records. And if the missing person is found, let investigators know. So let's raise awareness in your community. Distribute flyers, posters, go to media. Before taking any action, talk with law enforcement, that's the number one thing. Contact local media. 27 children missing. How many people have contacted the media? Contact the National Center for Missing Children. Ask law enforcement to post information. Wow. And then taking care of yourself. This is a traumatic experience. I've seen people go through a lot of this. Do not cut yourself off from others. Talk to people. Be careful if you're contacted by anybody seeking money, okay, to help in locating people that are missing. Just don't do it. People should want to work with you because they care. Should you decide to get a private investigator, check to see if there's been any complaints against that investigator. And also go to the media. Spread the word. If they're not spreading the word, then you continue to spread the word as best as you can. So these are things hopefully that will help you out. You're watching again, Anthony Parker, yours truly, keeping it real. As we talk about the missing children, where are they? Man. In a few moments we have left to 26 missing children. I just read about what you should do right when you find out they're missing, while they're missing, and if they're found. 26 missing children. Where are they at? So we talked about the Newburgh Heights police chief. And as I was doing the story and watching the YouTube channel, the Newburgh Heights police chief, his name is John Majoy. And I kept wondering, why is it Newburgh Heights police chief talking about a story that's in Cleveland? Well, like I said, he's on the board of this organization called Missing or Cleveland Missing. And that's an interesting tie-in. So a Newburgh Heights police chief is talking about this story that's in Cleveland, but he's also on the board of Cleveland Missing. So he serves as the chief of police in the village of Newburgh Heights and is located just a little bit outside of Cleveland. He's been in law enforcement since 1990, and he is the chair of the Northeast Ohio Amber Alert Committee, also Amber Alert. He holds a master's degree. He serves as an adjunct professor of criminal justice at Tiffin University in Bowling Green. So we're going to hopefully have him on the show since he's been interviewed all over and have him talk about Cleveland Missing and this story. We're also going to try to go to Cleveland and talk to some of the people in Cleveland. But also on this board is Devin Athen, and she's a law enforcement liaison, and she's been in the organization since March 22. Her role is in working with families and law enforcement agencies investigating missing persons cases. So of course, we have to have her on this show. She's the link, it says, between families and law enforcement. She'll go good with that story we were talking about. She also works in collaboration with law enforcement agencies around training relations to missing people and their families. And then Michelle Sorrell. This lady, she's worked with human trafficking and sexual assault. Another person we're going to have on the show. Tracy McGlinley. Ooh, try saying that. She's the vice president of the board. She's also co-author of the book Identity Theft, a reference handbook. And it was from this book, which was interesting, that she started focusing her research on human trafficking and has been educating the community on the topic for more than a decade. And then this is one that stands out. Multimedia. Let's get it all together. Missing kids. 27 missing kids. Nobody knows about it. Nobody's really reported about it in Cleveland. Newburgh Heights police chief reports about it. Why does he report about it? It goes national. Then he comes back to Cleveland. Newburgh Heights police chief. But then he's also on the organization board member, Cleveland Missing. Media doesn't really report about it. Local media doesn't report about it. Last but not least, this person on this board, Dan DeRose. Dan DeRose is an anchor reporter on WOIO TV 19 News. And he's been on the board since late 2022. He emceed and hosted a number of events dealing with missing children. So my question is, Dan the man, you're a reporter in the media. You're on a mainstream station. I don't know, because I hadn't heard about the story until I saw it on social media. Was this story ever reported as a reporter and also as a person on this Cleveland Missing organization? I don't know. So I'm hoping to have answers, and I'm asking in a polite way. I would like everybody to come on the show and discuss this. From some of the parents who have missing kids, you can't get your story out, you can come to me. The people on this board, Dan DeRosa, people on this board, also in the media, to the chief, Newburgh Heights police chief, who kind of way broke the story, and also AK-47, who really broke the story. I appreciate, everybody who, I guess, put this together to help me put it together. So again, you're watching Keep It Real with yours truly, Anthony Parker Alexander. We try to keep it simple. We try to keep it honest. We try to keep it real. You have any questions or comments? Telephone numbers 216-702-3708, 216-702-3718. And our email address is parkerman, PARKERMAN, @gmail.com, PARKERMAN @gmail.com. Let me know what you thought of this program. If you have any questions, if you have any comments. This is the first YouTube show that we have done with Keeping It Real. Again, my background is in journalism. I've done a bunch of shows. I've known in some circles as the host of Parker After Dark. And it wasn't just a radio show, but the future of radio. Then we also did cable TV. We've done investigative stories in print, online media. Father of 3 kids. I'm a social justice advocate. Run for city council. Also have run, forgot to tell you, for Congress. And we'll go about that story later on. We'll do a story about if people are in office and rules can't get changed, then you either vote them out and you run, or you get somebody else to run. We're going to talk about that. I would not be doing this show if it wasn't, this particular show, if it wasn't for AK-47. So shout out to you. And the information that I've learned. So again, as we close this, the magic number, 27 missing children in the span of 2 weeks. 27 missing children in the span of 2 weeks. What are we going to do? So let's see if we can find some of them. And let's put the word out. I also like to thank the sponsors, Parker Social Media, and also 23andUs. And what we do with 23andUs, as I am looking, 23andUs is a clothing line. And it's created by me and my family. 23andUs. It is all about family. Go on the website, www.23andus.net. You get on there, you'll see all of our clothes. We do hoodies, we do caps, we do men's clothes, women's clothes, children's clothes, and it's all about family. So when you get something on there, and our prices are relatively inexpensive, when you get on there and you decide to purchase something, all we want from you is to video you when you receive it and say your name and say, hey, I'm so-and-so, and I'm a part of the family of 23andUs. And we have interactive things coming up with the site. Stay tuned for that. But again, when you purchase 23andUs, you become a part of our family, and I welcome you. So that's my commercial for today. Again, I thank you all for watching the show. Where are the children? Let's try to find them, and let's put together upcoming shows with some of these people that I talked about. Tell your friends, hit the like button, subscribe. This is new for yours truly, and let's build this. We're keeping it real. We keep it simple, we keep it honest, and we keep it real. I am Anthony Parker Alexander. Keep your head up, always believe in yourself, and therein will lie your answer. God bless.